Welcome to the 2013 ROI Summit. My name is Justin Korda. I'm the Executive Director of the ROI community. On behalf of the whole team at ROI, as well as the Schusterman Philanthropic Network, I'm moved, I'm excited, I'm a bit nervous, but mostly I'm incredibly optimistic about the future by looking out at this audience tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. The diversity in this room in terms of geography, areas of interest, and experience is palpable and inspiring. We take a lot of pride in the ROI community being a truly global network. We take a lot of pride in the ROI community being a truly global network. And this year we have representatives from 37 countries in this room. So let's start by gauging how you're all feeling. I want to first give a warm welcome to all of the Israelis who may have traveled the least to get here, but definitely are making a significant commitment to be here fully with us while their homes are relatively nearby. Bruchim habayim lekol haYisraelim. Chevre, the other people are going to embarrass you. Bruchim habayim lekol haYisraelim. And now I'd like to welcome all of the Europeans and the Russians and all of those from the former Soviet Union. Okay, happy people, don't disappoint us. Ibero-America, Latin America. There it is. And now friends, all those from North America. Do the Israelis want another chance? Okay. And lastly, but definitely not least, I'd like to welcome everyone that doesn't come from one of those regions. Let's hear it. I especially want to welcome 5 people who are joining us from 5 countries that have never been represented at the ROI Summit. Bulgaria, Korea, Morocco, New Zealand, and Rwanda. You know who you are? Let's hear you. There are many reasons why we're gathered here tonight in Jerusalem. And over the course of tonight and tomorrow morning, we're going to cover all of them. But for now, I just want to focus on one. Believing in someone, or feeling that someone believes in you, is a feeling and a gift that's beyond measure. We are all here tonight because of a woman named Lynn Schusterman who believes in us. All of us, from the staff to each and every one of you. Lynn is the founder and chair of the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Philanthropic Network and an internationally renowned philanthropist devoted to the Jewish people, the state of Israel, and the citizens of her hometown, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Active in Jewish communal affairs for over 40 years, Lynn has been recognized for being a driving force behind the values and causes she holds close to her heart. Through her work in the fields of service learning, education, inclusivity, the prevention of child abuse and neglect, and the revival of Jerusalem as a center of arts and culture, she has bettered the lives of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people locally, nationally, and globally, not to mention her own family and her wonderful granddaughters. Lynn's belief in all of us and her willing to take risks on us is drawn from all of these experiences. At times, it's like a mother who only cares about the growth and well-being of her children, and at times, it's the belief of a savvy investor who is seeking a return on her investment. Lynn isn't here tonight in person, but she isn't far. She's traveling in England, and one of the things that you will all learn about being a member of the ROI community is that whenever Lynn travels around the world, she goes out of her way to find and meet ROIers. Tonight is no different. In honor of the opening of the 2013 ROI Summit, Lynn is gathered together with a group of ROIers and friends at the Moishe House in London. Please direct your attention towards London as we go live with Lynn Schusterman.
I'm sitting in Moshe House here in London with a group of your fellow ROIs. Will you all wave and say hello? One of the things that I love to do when I travel is visit Moshe houses around the world and to be with fellow ROIs. You are joining a family that is very, very special. The family of change makers that are committed to redefining Jewish life, and you will now be a part of this group. And I want to tell you just a little bit. I want to ask you to dare to take changes, to be different. The person who made all of this possible is my late husband, Charles. When oil was $3 a barrel, he decided to start an oil company. He was a huge believer in change and taking risks. And that's what I'm hoping that each and every one of you that are joining our ROI community will do. You will look at the Jewish world and you will see it through different eyes, and you will bring change to our world and to Israel. So I want to welcome you, and I look forward to joining you. Anyway, enjoy, welcome, and take advantage and meet each and every one of the people that you are there with. I know it's going to be hard, but introduce yourself and make friends. And shalom, you all. Bye.
Thank you so much, Lynn. She's still watching us, I hope. That was great. I'm really happy that worked. It's now my honor to introduce you to the president of the Schusterman Philanthropic Network, Sandy Carden. The Schusterman Philanthropic Network is a global enterprise that supports and creates innovative initiatives for the purpose of igniting the passion and unleashing the power in young people to create positive change for themselves, in the Jewish community, and the broader world. The Schusterman Philanthropic Network includes the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Family Foundation, the Schusterman Foundation Israel, Reality, and the ROI community. And Sandy is responsible for this mission and for the overall advancement of the philanthropic mission and vision of the Schusterman family. Sandy has more than 20 years of professional experience in the nonprofit sector, where he is a frequent presenter and panelist in global forums on topics related to innovative grant making, program building, Jewish identity, young adult engagement, Israel, and more. Sandy has served as a director of dozens of organizations, including Hillel Russia, Hillel Case, Machon Charuv, or the Charuv Institute, the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, the Council of Foundations, the Jewish Funders Network, Milton Academy, and the Oklahoma Jazz Hall of Fame, and many others. A native of Baltimore, Maryland, Sandy is a graduate of Harvard University and the University of Maryland School of Law. He's the proud son of Shoshana Carden, father of Sasha and Courtney, a lover of jazz music, a collector of Inuit sculpture, and a very frequent flyer. Now, on a personal note, I just want to mention that Sandy is directly responsible for many of the things that make ROI community what it is today. But there are two defining characteristics that I want to share with you tonight. One is going global. Sandy travels a lot. It's not abnormal for him to touch down in 3 continents in 1 week. And whenever he goes, and wherever he goes, he opens doors. Many of you are here today because Sandy met you in some corner of the world. Sandy is literally a one-man engine making this community more global and the entire global Jewish world seem like a village. Number 2 is humility. Sandy never lets us rest on our laurels and constantly pushes us to ask those tough questions that drive us toward improvement. Someone once said after arriving at an ROI summit that, "I like how you guys are super professional, but you don't take yourselves too seriously." We're very proud of that statement, and we're inspired by Sandy's leadership in that sense. Please welcome the president of the Schusterman Philanthropic Network, Sandy Carter.
Thank you, Justin. And for the first of many, many occasions, let me ask all of you to give Justin, Noah, everyone at the ROI community team a big round of applause for the incredible amount of work they put on. You know, Lynn talked about Charlie and taking risks and creating an oil company at $3 a barrel and mortgaging everything that he had to do that. I would say that showed that he was very much willing to take risks. But I think it's actually nothing compared to what Justin did in asking Lynn to speak via Skype to this group. If you talk about risk-taking, it begins right here. So Justin, you're now my role model for risk-taking. So it's great. And I apologize to all of you at the 8th ROI Summit, that this is the first time that Lynn is not with us at the opening, to open the event, because the energy that's in this room is what she lives for, and what she brings even as she opens the summit and then spends time to the summit is something that we'll have to make up for until she gets here in a couple of days. And then you'll see, those of you who have not had the privilege and the honor to spend time with Lynn will see what a human dynamo she really is, and the way that the energy that infuses the Schusterman Philanthropic Network really starts with Lynn, and she brings it through all of us to all of you and throughout the Jewish world. So she'll be here in a couple of days. I know she's sad not to be able to be here tonight in person, but we'll see her in a couple of days, and we'll get that same bolt of energy and enjoy it as she comes. The second thing I want to say briefly is I want to apologize to the extent that you're not sitting on chairs that are of all the different ROI Summit colors. Because I'm sure last year when I gave the ROI community a lot of stuff, because all the chairs and the colors, they assured me that they had not been specially purchased for the summit, but they happened to be the regular colors of the rental company. And so while I don't doubt that for a moment that's true, I can see that this year they just stayed away from it altogether and went with the stock chair. So thank you very, very much. So it's great, it's great. And thank you all for being here tonight and participating in this summit. You're not here for sure by accident. You were selected through a very rigorous application process that has been over the years honed to help us identify the most exciting, the most innovative, the most creative young adults in the Jewish world. There were hundreds and hundreds of qualified candidates that went through this process, and you are the ones in whom we believe. We believe in your ideas, we believe in your passion, and more importantly, we believe in what you can contribute to the ROI community. It means that all of you are now part of a diverse global network of nearly 1,000 leaders in 60+ countries who share a commitment to strengthening Jewish life, and it also means that you are part of the broader Schusterman family. As Justin mentioned, ROI is a part of the Schusterman Philanthropic Network, a group of organizations and people that are committed to creating and supporting opportunities for young people like you to ignite positive change in your communities. We believe in the paramount importance of repairing the world, of building communities rooted in inclusion, equality, and diversity, of ensuring a strong future for the Jewish people and our beloved state of Israel, and of providing young people with safe homes and greater access to quality education. Our family includes a mix of people and organizations that share these beliefs, and also our optimism that despite all the challenges we face in the world, tomorrow can not only be better than today, it will be better than today. We hope you feel the same sense of excitement about joining our family that we do in welcoming you to it. As someone who has been to every ROI Summit, I want to share a few words of advice as to how to make the most of your time here over the next few days. I'm going to limit myself to 5 pieces of advice But I urge you to connect with the 30 returning ROIers who are veterans of this experience, and they can offer you even more. The first, is to draw upon the wisdom of people who think differently than you do. The diversity of perspectives in this room is what makes this experience work. Find clarifiers who ask pointed questions, connectors who lead you to other people, challengers who help you act boldly, and wise elders or sages from whose experience you can learn. This exercise is often called creating your own personal board of directors. Number 2, trust the process. This summit has been carefully crafted to be a mix of structured and unstructured, expert-driven and peer-led. Over 8 years, starting with the very beginning of my good friend Yoni Gordis, and our partnership with the Israel Democracy Institute and others at Taglit Birthright, over this whole 8-year period, our team has worked hard to create an experience that breaks down barriers between people and fosters deep and lasting connections. Show your commitment to this process by being fully present and by participating fully in every aspect of the summit. Number 3, be strategic at meal and break times. They are a great opportunity to both meet new people and to go into greater detail with those you have already met. They are also a good time to learn and share from people who attended different master classes and peer-led skills sessions. Plan ahead for how you will use this time wisely. And as Lynn suggested, make as many friends as you can. Talk to everybody here. Everyone here has something to offer you, something to help you, and you have something to offer everyone else here. That's why you were selected, to get the group dynamic going and to strengthen the Jewish people globally. It starts here with 150 people here, and it mushrooms out. But it's got to begin here, and the connections need to be made here for the power to take place and for the change to take place that we want ultimately over time. 4, let the twin principles of YOLO, does anybody know what YOLO is? You only live once. And FOMO? Exactly, fear of missing out. Let them guide you. Participate in this experience in a way that scares you, that takes you out of your comfort zone. Maybe that means leading a conversation, or to the contrary, being a participant or a silent participant in one. Maybe you're used to leading all the time. Maybe you're used to being the first one to volunteer. Try doing something different here. Make it a special experience. Take advantage of everything that the summit has to offer, from classes to open spaces, from motivational speakers to networking opportunities. But also find a little time to sleep, not too much, but a little time to sleep, so you maximize your time with all of the people here. And 5th, remember what we are ultimately here to do. We are here to build a strong, vibrant future for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel. Our personal agendas are important in so much as they serve this larger goal. If we do it right, we will develop a common language that will serve us and our communities all over the world, led by you, and we'll be able to learn from each other's experiences and contribute to each other's successes. Again, I want to thank the ROI team for pulling together an incredible summit that continues to defy expectation at every step. I can tell you, when we started this 8 years ago, none of us could have imagined that we would be here today. None of us could have imagined that the ROI community would have grown to what it is today in terms of numbers, in terms of influence, in terms of excitement, in terms of energy. What it's doing not just during the 5 days, but what it does during the other 360 days a year. The team at the ROI community has surpassed every goal and milestone that we have ever set for this experience and that we have ever set for the organization. And we look forward to the ROI community team and the rest of the Schusterman Network team, with your help and with your involvement, continuing to exceed every goal that we set for ourselves for years and years to come. And of course, our thanks to Lynn, without whom none of us would be here, and without whose vision and generosity and belief in every one of you, we would not be here. And finally, I again want to thank all of you for taking the risk of applying, for putting yourself out there, and then once selected, making the time in your schedule to be here with us to share in this opportunity. We thank you for what you've done before you came to the summit, that qualified you for the summit, and for what we know you're going to contribute to Jewish life afterwards. And we want to make this the most positive experience of your Jewish life, and with your help, working with each other, we know that will happen. So thank you very much for being here. Toda Rabbah. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the ROI community team. So if we can please dim the lights and roll the cameras.
So as you can see, one of our members of the team had a family wedding to get to tonight. Can you guess which one? It really takes a village to put together this ROI Summit. We have all had the privilege of working with an incredible team, a village of sorts, to produce this summit, and we'd like to take a moment to introduce you to all the people that have helped and will be around to make this ROI Summit. So firstly, I'd like to introduce our ROI Summit staff. We've got Yoni Gordis, Esther Kostanowitz, and Aviv Maman. When I call your name, if you don't mind just standing up and waving, please. I should have said that to begin with. Thank you. I want to introduce our colleagues from the Schusterman Philanthropic Network that are here with us, that have traveled from abroad to be here as staff from the summit. We've got Lisa Eisen and David Ridberg, who are on their way. Adam Simon is here. We have David Gapel, who's actually from Israel. Seth Cohen, Robin Smolar, and Yaniv Rivlin, who are all here from the Atlanta team. Okay.
This year, we're excited to include a group of mentors and residents who will be here the whole week with you, available for office hours, giving master classes, and available to get to know throughout the week. So please wave and applaud James Andrews, Jessica Kirkwood, Ray Ringel and Svetlana Shmulyan, who will be arriving later tonight and tomorrow morning, and Tracy Olcha, who's here from Australia.
And we couldn't be here without the help of our fantastic ROI interns. This year we've got Ariel, Sisma, Batchen, Liel, Matt, and Sarah.
And it's been a pleasure to work with our colleagues and friends at Roots Travel, our production partners on the 2013 ROI Summits for all these past months. So a big thank you must go to Edna Brazan, Ariel Weiss, Ravi Bainer, and our summit team. There you go, Imbal Halperin, Michal Okun, Odette Pellis, Emily Bock, Tanya Wechter, and Lex Paul. We love you guys.
The video team that you've seen around, they're going to be around all week. Shai Kamarini, Einav Kamarini, Ila Kaplan, Amir Telker, Michal Yaniv, Oded Nesher, and Shiran Shapira. Thank you for all the videos that you've seen till now and what you're going to see coming out. To the photographers who've taken amazing shots of all of you, Adi Cohen, Yuni Show, and Hila Amal, who you'll meet tomorrow. And to the PR team, Ari Cooter and Jake Sharfman, who are there. Thank you so much.
In just a few minutes, you'll be hearing from our keynote speaker, Nancy Lublin, CEO of Do Something, the largest nonprofit of young people and social change in America, and the founder of Dress for Success, a global franchise that helps disadvantaged women gain economic independence. Her story is one of tenacity, vision, and a commitment to helping those who need help the most. Dress for Success, which she founded when she was just 23 years old, is built upon a single yet simple and profound idea. What would happen if disadvantaged women were giving not just career development support, but also professional clothing to wear to their interviews? It sounds almost inconsequential. What difference does a suit make? The answer is, it makes a big difference. Because except for in Israel, where a dress-down day is every day, and jeans are wedding attire, how you dress in a professional setting matters, both on the outside and, just as importantly, on the inside. I learned this lesson from Ray Ringo, one of our mentors in residence who will be arriving at the summit later tonight. As a professional coach, one of the things she taught me many years ago is the importance of investing in your appearance when going to an interview or a meeting. In her words, wear a kick-ass outfit. Feel good about yourself. That's why I connected to Nancy Lublin's story when I first heard about her. She wanted to help many women all over the world feel like $1 million when they went to their job interview. Because when you're dressed to kill, you will. Under Nancy's leadership, Dress for Success expanded to more than 70 cities in 4 countries and became a recognized brand with over 100 employees worldwide. And Nancy started it all with a $5,000 inheritance she received from her great-grandfather, Papi Max, an immigrant from Eastern Europe who came to America with nothing and who worked hard to forge a better life. Nancy wanted to honor his memory by using his hard-earned money to help other people blaze new opportunities too. I'm going to segue for a minute and just say that, as you can see, family means a lot and played a central role to Nancy in her life. It is for this reason that we are extra appreciative of Nancy being here with us tonight. As some of you may know, Nancy's grandfather passed away just yesterday. Nancy, may God comfort you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Nancy succeeded beyond her wildest expectations. Her success was so considerable that soon she was featured on nearly every media outlet in America, from Oprah to the New York Times. But after 6 years, Nancy left Dress for Success because it was her basic belief that founders should create things that are sustainable and move on. In 2003, she took the job at Do Something in order to save it. A once great organization, Do Something was $250,000 in debt, had laid off 21 of 22 employees, and had only $75,000 in the bank. From the bottom of her heart, Nancy wanted to inspire and support young people to get out there and change the world. I'll let Nancy tell you about herself and how she turned the organization around and took it from the red into the largest youth organization in America, reaching over 11 million kids each year. Under her management, the organization is fiscally sound and thriving, and even received the coveted 4-star award from Charity Navigator. And she did it all in less than 6 months. In her spare time, Nancy writes books. She is the author of Zilch, The Power of Zero in Business. She's a regular columnist, blogger, a thought leader in LinkedIn, and a former graduate-level instructor in public administration, both Yale and NYU. She received her BA from Brown University, an MLit from Oxford University, and a law degree from NYU. Among her many honors, Nancy was named to Fast Company's League of Extraordinary Women. We are so excited to have this extraordinary woman here with us at the 2013 ROI Summit. Please join me in welcoming Nancy Lublin.
It is a pleasure to be in a room full of people who will understand that my hair is going to be frizzy tomorrow morning. I'm going to talk with my hands, and it's not going to scare you. And as change makers, I suspect you, like me, have parents at home who wish just a little bit that you are actually a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah, I'm funny, so you're going to have to laugh. So it's true what Noah said. In 1996, I was a law student at NYU. Do we have any lawyers here? Children of lawyers, siblings of lawyers, married to lawyers? Okay, I'm sorry for all of you. Law school is the place where ideas go to die. And idealism. You go there because you think you want to change the world and you want to use this law degree and wield it in the face of like bad things and injustice, and you come out a tax attorney. I was in law school. It was February of my first year, and it was one of those New York February days where the rain was coming down sideways. And I was miserable. I was really miserable. And I got to my apartment, I got to the mailbox, and there was a return address from a lawyer in Hollywood, Florida. I didn't know there was a Hollywood in Florida. And I thought, oh crap, somebody's suing me. So I carefully open up the envelope, and inside is a check made out to me for $5,000 from the estate of my great-grandfather. So, like many of you, my family started somewhere else. So my great-grandfather, Poppy Max, was the 6th male. There were 6 brothers in Poland, and he was the baby. One of them came to Israel and started a family here, and my cousin is actually here today. That's Tomer in the back. Stand up, Tomer. Because I'm having him stand up largely because he lives here and he's single. Stand up again. Okay. So, I told you, I'm funny, but serious, single. You want to do a 360? Okay, anyway. So, my 4 of them stayed in Poland, and all 4 died in the Holocaust. And the youngest one was my great-grandfather, and when he hit around the age of puberty, they stuck him on a boat and sent him to America. They had never celebrated a birthday, they didn't calculate his age, because they knew that Polish males at the time, when they hit 18 in Poland, they were conscripted into the army for 20 years. So my family hid his birth and hid him and sent him to America. When he got to Ellis Island, not knowing any English and not knowing his birthday, they assigned him December 25th, thinking it was really funny to give my Orthodox great-grandfather Christmas as a birthday. So we always celebrate his birthday on Christmas, although we have no idea how old he was when he died. And my great-grandfather became a peddler, like many of your families. He just sort of sold things and put things together and started out in the United States and kind of reclaimed his destiny, and thought it was very kind of these companies called IBM and other things to like send him checks because he had given them a few dollars years earlier. That was funny too. Those are called dividends. Come on, we're Jews, we know what dividends are. And so when he died, it was really strange to get this windfall from his death, to get $5,000, because I hadn't earned it. And this was the Horatio Alger character in my family. This was the one who like walked up hills both ways, barefoot in the snow kind of thing. So it wasn't my money. And I got in the elevator where I lived, and when I got to the 6th floor, I had the idea for Dress for Success. Granted, it was a slow pre-war elevator, but I had the idea for Dress for Success. And really, it's because I don't live in Israel, so I can't wear this every day. But those of us who live elsewhere know that, like, as a woman, the skirt that you wear on a Monday morning is probably 2 inches longer and 2 sizes larger than the skirt you would have worn on Saturday night. that a skirt is not a skirt. Whereas for the guys, you can wear that blazer, right? You can get married in it, buried in it, interview in it, you can do everything in it. You change your shirt tomorrow, no one knows, but if Noah wears that outfit tomorrow, people are gonna wonder where she slept. Our clothing is different. Women's clothing is different, and it's expensive. And so I had the idea for Dress for Success, so I did what any Jewish kid from Hartford would do. I contacted 3 nuns in Spanish Harlem, and I started the organization with them. It makes no sense. I basically went to school the next day, and I told, actually the first thing I did when I had the idea, in fairness, was I called my grandfather. The grandfather who Noah just said passed away, actually, literally 6 hours before I got on the plane yesterday. I called my grandfather, Poppy Sanford. He's the only other entrepreneur in my family. He's the only other one who was cursed with this entrepreneur thing. And I thought he would understand, so I said, I just got this check from your father, and I'm going to use it to start an organization. And his response was, are you crazy? Put that money in the market like your sister. Which would have been a really good idea in '96. So I had turned to him. That was the first person who I turned to. Anyway, then the next day I went to school and I asked one of my professors, and he put me in touch with Sister Mary Nerney, who put me in touch with Sister Catherine and Sister Kathleen. My only experience with nuns was being Sister Berta and The Sound of Music in the 6th grade. Really, I expected them to greet me in habits singing when they opened the door, and instead it turns out that nuns are kind of like Jewish social workers, just with straighter hair and bad shoes. I should say worse shoes. So that was funny too. Okay, so I told them my idea, and they said, great, go get a rich guy from a bank and put him on your board. And I was like, I'm rich, I have $5,000. And so I made them my board of directors, which was an interesting choice. So they advised me to put the $5,000 into a 6-month CD at the bank so that it could accrue interest, which was great, except that it meant that we started the organization with no money. So one piece of advice I'll pass on to you is, don't take financial advice from nuns. They've taken an oath of poverty. It's just not a good way to go. We had a big debate in the early days. Sister Catherine didn't think we should be giving out pantsuits because they were a passing feminist fad. So I had to convince her that pantsuits and probably feminism were here to stay. That was interesting. So there were early debates, and we started the organization, with nothing. I really did not know what I was doing. I was assigned a pro bono legal counsel and went and met with the legal counsel, and she said to me, so we need to form a corporation. And I said, no, this is a not-for-profit. I'm not forming a corporation. And she said, that's a legal term. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm a 1L. I hear it, okay. And then she says, so who's going to be your secretary? I was like, no, I really don't think you understand. I don't even drink coffee. I'm not going to have a secretary. That's so bourgeois. And she said, no, again, it's a legal term. So I really did not know what I was doing. And then fast forward 7 years later, we were, as Noah graciously introduced, in over 70 cities in 4 countries. I had licensed the name Dress for Success for a line of clothing, a for-profit subsidiary to help grow the organization and have all that revenue come in, unrestricted money. I really learned a lot. I learned more doing Dress for Success than I did in law school, which is why after my 2nd year of law school, I dropped out. Much to the chagrin of that grandfather, because I was now both not going to be a lawyer and I wasn't married. So that was a win. He was really not happy with me. And only sort of happy with me when I later brought home Jason Diaz to be my husband. That was great. He describes himself, though, as Jew-friendly. That's his religion, so we're good. We're good. As mentioned, I left Dress for Success because I really do believe that founders ought to move on, that there are 2 kinds of leaders. There are czars, and there are leaders. And czars leave things when their heads are cut off, and leaders build things that are sustainable, and then they move on. And I like my head where it is. So I made sure there was enough money in the bank for a year, and then I left. And then I came to do something, which was fucked. That's sort of the summary of Noah's introduction. That's like the polite way of saying that there was 21 out of 22 staff laid off, no money in the bank. We'd also lost our office space. You left that one out. Everything was in boxes in storage somewhere, and no one knew where the storage facility was or who had the key. So I think if you look up fucked in the dictionary, that's pretty much what you find. That, I guess, in like a picture of Amanda Bynes. Okay. So I took the job, which was kind of crazy. I did it really because I had just turned 30, and I was being headhunted for all kinds of big jobs, like national CEO of the Girl Scouts. But it became apparent to me that really I was just being headhunted for those jobs to make the headhunters look good, and because I was like the kid, and that I had to go take something really, really messy and prove that I knew what I was doing and turn it around. And so that's what Do Something's been about. What we do at Do Something, when I got to Do Something, they were all over the country. I shut down those local offices. It was the year after Friendster and the year before Facebook. And just like I had called pantsuits and feminism as not a passing fad, I said, you know, I think this internet thing is probably here to stay. Funny. And so I shut down the local offices and put the whole thing online. And I was almost fired my third week on the job. Because I turned down a big grant to open more local offices, and I said, you've just got to trust me that where kids are is going to be online, that they're going to be online, that will be the best way to reach them. And it took a few years. When organizations sort of drift and lose sense, they do what's called follow the money. They would do anything. So when I got to Do Something, and they said they worked with young people, that to them was age 5 to 30, plus parents and teachers. That is not young people, that is a village. That is like an entire family. So it took a long time to lop off the parents and teachers, and lop off the little kids, lop off the old kids, and get down to who our target market is now, which is really a 17-year-old male, and the women in the room will tell you that means a 15-year-old female, because we mature a little bit more quickly than you. It's the same thing. You're laughing, because you know. Because when you were 15, you dated a 17-year-old. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So, guys, I like you too, I swear. A lot. Okay. At Do Something, what we do is we run campaigns. And the whole thing is causes that kids care about. We have a no tater tot principle. So Tater Tot Day in the lunchroom was the best day in the cafeteria. I mean, but they're not good for you. They're really just short and stubby French fries. Their tater tots are not any healthier. Lots of organizations will try and take away kids' tater tots. The Girl Scouts will do that. Do Something will never be the organization to take away kids' tater tots. Instead, what Do Something does is magnify causes that kids care about. So if you care about something, we'll help you make it bigger. So the two causes that kids care about most, animals and homeless. I refer to those as gateway causes or starter causes. They're kind of the marijuana of cause. That basically you start with animals and homeless, get kids hooked, and they'll graduate to more hardcore causes. They might just go deeper and become daily animals and homeless people, or they might graduate to others. Either way, we're good with it. Are you laughing at this? Okay, good. Okay. So, you can't get, I've got 27 minutes left, so you're stuck. Okay. So some of those campaigns include, we called all the homeless shelters in the United States, and we found out that a third of all homeless in the United States are under the age of 18. Huge youth homeless problem. And so we called the shelters and said, what do you need? What does a 17-year-old male ask for when he gets to your shelter? So do you want to guess? If you were 17 and homeless, Lior, what would you want? If you were 17 and homeless, you got to a shelter, what would you ask for? Food. Anybody else? What would you ask for? Hot homeless women. Someone's hit the bar. Okay, anyone else, yeah? Wi-Fi, I love that. Okay, it's jeans. It's jeans, it's blue jeans. They want to wear jeans just like Israelis. They want to wear jeans, and that's because you can wear that pair of jeans. If you're in a homeless kid, you can change the shirt and no one notices. They're durable, you don't have to wash them every day. You can wear them all year round, really no matter where you live in the United States, it's jeans. So we said, okay, we've got you. And we created a campaign called Teens for Jeans. And we called a clothing store chain called Aeropostale. They have about 1,000 stores around the United States. And we created a campaign with them, and you could drop off your jeans at Aeropostale stores, and we collected them. And in 3.5 weeks, we collected over 900,000 pairs of jeans this year. We clothed about half of all homeless kids in America. And so the shelters are happy because they use the jeans to lure kids off the streets. And they say to kids, You want a pair of jeans? You've got to be in our shelter tonight. You've got to be in our program. Moms are happy because kids are cleaning out their closet. Kids are happy because they made a difference. They learned about something. And Do Something is happy because we are paid by Aeropostale as a sponsorship fee to run the whole campaign. And Aeropostale is pretty thrilled because they say we drove between 300 and 350,000 people into their stores in February. And no one is shopping because they just got their bills from Hanukkah and Christmas. So it's a good campaign. Another campaign is a campaign about teen pregnancy. We did some research on teen pregnancy, and we found out that if you tell kids, look, if you have a baby now when you're 15, you'll likely make $100,000 a year less someday. They don't care. They think they'll beat the odds. If you tell that girl, if you have a baby now, you won't end up with your boyfriend someday. She doesn't believe you because she thinks their love is forever. Spelled forever. But if you tell her, you're not going to be able to see the new Twilight movie next week, or the Hunger Games release, or go to prom, she's horrified and freaks out. It's all short-term impact. Most teen pregnancy campaigns also focus on that girl. And guys, we believe that you are at least 50% of the problem. So we designed a campaign called the Pregnancy Text, where you can impregnate your boyfriend's cell phone. And basically you text the word baby to 38383, and the next morning at 6:30 in the morning, and as a parent of two, I will say that 6:30 is generous. At 6:30 in the morning, we start sending you text messages from this virtual baby. Some of the messages are incomprehensible, but so are some of our children. Sometimes it's, I need my diaper changed, or hey, around noon there's a text that comes out that says, I'm hungry too, when are you gonna feed me? And if you can't handle that really annoying text baby, at the end of the day, or when you opt out, it says to you, if you can't handle this, maybe you're not ready for a real one. And there's a survey that goes along with it afterwards, and what we found is that 50% of the kids that play the game are more likely to talk to someone about teen pregnancy. And that is a silver bullet. The research will say if you talk to someone about teen pregnancy, you're less likely to get pregnant or impregnate someone. So that's pretty exciting. What I really want to talk to you about, though, is my next startup. And then I want to share with you some learnings. So my next startup is an outgrowth of all this text messaging. When we send these texts, and we have over 1.1 million kids now that we text out to every week. It's a very large mobile list. There's a 97% open rate, which is amazing. You open every text you get, right? I mean, text is great. Our highest engaged users, do you want to take a guess what cities in the United States are like highest engaged users are? Take a guess. Where? Texas. How did you know that? You're cheating. Yes, it's Texas. People usually say Seattle, San Francisco, New York. They say high-tech markets. Our three highest engaged markets are McAllen, San Antonio, and North Miami Beach. We're skewing Hispanic, which is great because, let's be honest, Do Something was not set up to help Ashley and Greenwich do more community service. So it's terrific that we're skewing minority, urban, Asian, Hispanic. It's terrific. Although we love Ashley. Ashley is terrific. She does a lot of things for animals. But because of all this texting, we've had this unpredicted side effect, which is we'll send out this text message about teen pregnancy, and we'll get back a couple dozen text messages that are what we call out of flow. They're things that have nothing to do with teen pregnancy or volunteerism at all. Things like, help, I'm being bullied, the kids at school are really mean. Or about eating disorders, or about cutting. And the worst message we ever got, and this is a word for word what the message said, was, he won't stop raping me, it's my dad, he told me not to tell anyone, are you there? And we were shocked. I mean, we were humbled that she would turn to us. We're not experts in this. She clearly trusted us to send that to us. And we were horrified that she clearly had nowhere else to turn, and there wasn't another place to go. And so that was the day that we decided to build a crisis text line. So it's going to launch on August 1st. Yeah, it's really cool. So What's great about it is that it's totally private. Unlike a hotline where you're talking on the phone, people could hear you. You could be in the lunchroom being bullied, texting with us, and no one would hear you. Also, unlike a hotline or chat, we capture your mobile number, which means we can go back out to you the next day and say, are you okay? Did you talk to your principal? Did you do what we suggested? Did you follow up? It's pretty great for just the counseling. If you can imagine, it's fast. Also for counseling, we're working with the MIT Media Lab on AI and auto-tagging and natural language processes so that if there's imminent harm, we can bump you up in the queue more quickly. If you call a hotline and you're suicidal and it's a high volume time, you could be on hold for 2 hours, which is a bad idea for a suicidal kid. But if you text us and we see imminent harm, we bump you up in the queue and deal with you immediately. So that's great for counseling. The second thing that's great about this is it's going to force collaboration. A lot of you work in the not-for-profit world, and you know that collaboration is just a bullshit word that we all throw out there because we think funders like to hear it. You can admit it, okay? Actually, it will have to happen for Crisis Text Line. Bullying organizations, rape and incest organizations, sex trafficking organizations, everybody will be working together on this, doing the actual responses. So I'm excited about collaboration and bringing this world into this century. But the third thing, the most exciting thing about Crisis Text Line is the data. So this is one of the first social enterprises that's actually built around data. Rather than data being additive, the entire purpose here is the data. I think the counseling of kids one-on-one is terrific. But what's exciting about the data is the potential for preventative measures. So right now, nobody knows the relationship between bullying and eating disorders because they're two totally separate entities, totally separate studies, longitudinal studies. I mean, these studies take years to do and fill. This will be real-time data thanks to our work with the Media Lab. You'll be able to enter in a zip code and see how many text messages came in that day. We're going to pull all the personally identifiable information, put it under a Creative Commons license, and make it available to the public. So police departments should reallocate resources based on this information. School boards will know when they need more guidance counselors because actually it turns out March is the toughest time of year, not October. Journalists will use this, so instead of writing articles based on anecdotes that make you cry, they'll write articles based on data that makes you cry. And politicians like Michelle Bachmann, although she's leaving anyway. So politicians will no longer be able to put out policies just based on their own personal convictions. Now they'll have to answer to real live statistics and data. So we're pretty excited about Crisis Text Line. But I thought I would just sort of do some across-the-board learnings and share some things with you. And given that my grandfather died yesterday, I thought that I would do this, and I'm missing his funeral to be here with you. I thought that I would do this sort of in the form of lessons that I've learned from him and applied. Because I think everybody here has a family member who inspired you, or who helped shape who you are. And I feel like this is, we were all sisters in Sinai, and this is like being with family. So, so I've got some lessons to share. So the first is my grandfather was also an entrepreneur, and the thing about that I've learned over the last 20 years doing this is that I didn't choose this. This chose me. I don't know how many of you feel this way. I have gay friends who say that I sound like I'm gay when I describe this, and it's like coming out as an entrepreneur, I'm a little weird, I never really fit in completely, I didn't know what it was, I tried to like go to law school and make a go of it, but it just wasn't going to work out, it was kind of inevitable, and now I'm like proud, and now all of a sudden kind of like being gay, it's super cool to be an entrepreneur, like we have the coolest clubs, the gays have the coolest clubs, wow, this is just really not a gay crowd, huh? Okay, everybody here has a sibling who's gay. We're Jewish, okay. So my grandfather was also an entrepreneur, and he was weird. He was an entrepreneur like to the core. He used to put Fruit Loops in his coffee. He put mustard on everything. Like there was no sort of convention for him. And I realized that I was kind of the same way. I don't like mustard. But I'm kind of the same way in that in high school we had to write an essay on great world leaders. And everybody wrote about Churchill or Kennedy. And I wrote about Attila the Hun. And apparently my essay was all about, because he taught people resilience. I was just weird, yes. I think that we have to adjust to being this. I remember being an entrepreneur before I knew how to spell the word entrepreneur. I still sometimes have to work on that spelling. It's a hard word to spell. And I think it's a little strange now that people aspire to be this, because for most of my life, I really didn't want to be this. I wanted to be Lindsay Ronald. Lindsay Ronald was the waspy girl 2 years younger than me in high school, who was like an okay student and an okay soccer player and always dated the cutest boys. And she was just like perfectly plain, and I really wanted to be her so bad. I'm sorry if anyone knows her. Don't tell her I'm saying this. That's her real name. But I really did. I wanted to be her, and it's taken me a long, long time. And I use this as sort of a metaphor to get comfortable with my frizzy hair, and to realize that, like, this is who I am. I am an entrepreneur. I am the person who walks down the street and sees empty store spaces and thinks, why isn't XYZ here? Or looks at a menu and doesn't really look at the different food options or calorie takes, but wonders about some of the branding and why they've made certain choices or put things in different orders on a menu in certain order, like why don't you put the steak first if that's the expensive item? I think strange, and I think a lot of you do also. And so we should all come out as entrepreneurs. I know that there are people hunched over laptops in Starbucks around the world who want to be what we are, and it's so strange. And those of you who really do feel this affliction know exactly what I'm talking about. You might not have chosen this if you could have picked otherwise. It would be so much easier to be a doctor or a lawyer right now in a corner office somewhere, or to be a waspy girl with like really plain straight blonde hair, married to the perfect guy. And just wear Lululemon all day long. That would be really nice. It's just not who I am, and I know it's not who a lot of you are also. The second thing that I learned from my grandfather was my grandfather, and I talked briefly to a couple of you over dinner. My grandfather's the one who taught me how to play poker at an inappropriately young age. I thought he was just teaching me how to play cards. And really, he was teaching me fantastic lessons for life. How to keep a straight face, how to play your position. Those of you who play cards, it's not just about what you're dealt, but it's what position you're at the table. And also being comfortable with losing. Because you fold about 80% of the cards that you're given in poker, if you're a good poker player. You fold about 80% of the time, and you just have to get comfortable with that. And that's so much of life. Is a little bit of a bluff, knowing the right time to fold. Yes, there's a song about that. I'm not going to sing Willie Nelson for you, unless you want. I'll sing later, I promise, I won't disappoint. So he taught me how to play poker, and it was completely inappropriate for him to teach a 5-year-old how to play cards, especially since we didn't play for M&Ms like normal families, we played for nickels. And he took my money. And he would let me win Chutes and Ladders. I mean, I appreciate that, and Candyland, but he would not let me win poker. And I'm not making a Jewish stingy money joke here, I'm really not. What I'm saying is that he taught me a lesson about losing. And that even at the age of 5, like, you're gonna lose, kid, get used to it. The next thing he taught me was he is the one who taught me about succession planning and leaving. He ran a clothing store. He started actually as a shoe salesman. My grandmother's family owned the store. He started as a shoe salesman and then married her and ended up inheriting the store. My great-grandfather wanted him to just focus on that one store. And on his deathbed, my grandfather said to him, I'm going to expand the store to more markets. And he did. He expanded the chain of stores. Anybody from upstate New York? It was called Denby's. It was a long time ago, Denby's. And he was smart enough to see on the horizon big department stores like JCPenney, Target, Walmart starting to take over, and so he sold the company in '76 to something called outlet stores. Anyway, he had great foresight. I left Dress for Success around the time that the transition was made from Clinton to Bush, because I saw that while Clinton's big passion was welfare to work, and welfare to work issues were on the front page of the New York Times almost every day during the Clinton administration, that the Bush administration's big passion was education. And we were going to see education on the front page. Whether or not you agree with what he did on education, it was his big issue. And I saw that kind of the best times for Dress for Success were probably during that Clinton era. And so I wanted to leave because I thought it was time for the founder to go, but also because I had a sense of the market. And a lot of this is luck. A lot of this is timing. I'm not a genius. You can ask that teacher who graded that paper on Attila the Hun. Not a genius. I think a lot of this is luck and a lot of this is planning. The next thing I learned from my grandfather was about love. He and my grandmother were married for 67 years. That's like 2 consecutive life sentences for murder. 67 years is a really long time, and they fought a lot, but they really stuck together, and they knew the meaning of commitment, and they knew what hard work was. This entrepreneurial thing, this social change thing, is really hard, and sometimes it's really frustrating and you want to divorce it, but we're married to it. It's who we are. Launching Crisis Text Line. It's been 2 years since we got that first text message from that girl being raped by her father. I'm embarrassed to say that it's taking 2 years to launch this thing when we've known that it's really needed. It's very simple, and we're basically triaging it right now at Do Something because we get those text messages every week. I'm embarrassed to say that it's taking 2 years. I'm supposed to be good at this. I've done 2 other companies, like I show up on all those stupid lists of best and blah, blah, blah. Apparently I suck at this. It's really hard, and I'm finding it really, really frustrating to get this thing to launch. But I'm not giving up. And I think part of that comes from seeing my grandfather and my grandmother stick together for those 67 years. And it also reminds me that I agree with Sheryl Sandberg. The most important decision we make in our life is who our partner is and who's going to go through all of this with you. The last lesson that I want to share from my grandfather before I turn this over to Q&A is some of you I'm friends with on Facebook. Actually, and you saw that yesterday when he died, I posted on Facebook that he passed away. And I've been really touched that so many people have left comments saying, well, he'd be proud of you. And, you know, he loved you and he'd be proud of you. And the truth of the matter is, not really. Not really. He's the one in my family who I had the most affinity with because he was also an entrepreneur. But most of my family members, the joke that I made at the top of my talk, really would still like me to be a lawyer. I see my father, and every time I see him, he asks me when I'm going to take the bar exam. I'm 42. I finished law school a long time ago. I did go back and finish. I think that this thing that we've chosen, if you're doing it because you think that your grandfather or your parents are going to be proud, or it's like the right thing to do, you're picking it for the wrong reason. I'm bitten by this bug. It's this thing that I didn't choose, it chose me, and I'm doing it because I love it. It's an incredibly selfish endeavor for me to do these things. I agree with that Friends episode that there's no such thing as an altruistic act. Do you remember that episode of Friends? Or am I having a generational moment here? Okay. There's an episode of Friends where Joey and Phoebe have a challenge on that there's no such thing as a truly altruistic act. And I agree with them. This stuff makes us feel good. We do it because we believe that it's important. We believe that we have to do it. And don't expect that it's going to make anyone else proud or anyone else understand you any better. So the reason I chose to be here and to honor my commitment that I made to ROI instead of go to the funeral tomorrow and put my grandfather into the ground is because I probably feel more affinity with all of you in the room, those of you who I've never even met, than I do with a lot of my own family members. You're change makers, you're all a little bit weird, just like me, and thanks for having me. Any questions? There's a mic in the middle of the room.
There's a mic in the center of the room. People want to line up. Question? Hi. So thank you so much for this weird and inspiring keynote. I was wondering, in the hard moments you were speaking about, what's the thing that you're doing that can give you energy in your personal life, because you need to be such a strong person with your team and with your partners and stuff. Thanks.
I'll give you two answers to that. So the real answer is probably a tall mocha frappuccino. It's a fantastic source of energy. And I don't drink coffee, but like if I need a source of energy, a tall mocha frappuccino is sort of like, it's always there for me. It's never cheated on me. It's like, that's my main man. But I think the real answer is probably loving the target market. That I live and breathe the teen space. I do something on Friday night at 8 o'clock. I'm pretty much watching iCarly. I'm obsessed with Hello Kitty. I have a Hello Kitty bicycle that's now been shelved because I'm more obsessed with City Bike. Those of you who are from New York, yes. I could name all 5 members of One Direction. That's not one I'm proud of, but it is true. It is true, and stay away from Zayn, he's mine. I live and breathe this teen space, and when I did Dress for Success, I really believed in the clients, and I really loved and I learned so much from those women. I think you have to really learn and love what you do. I think that's what keeps you going and keeps you focused. And frappuccinos.
My name's Gina. I'm from Cape Town in South Africa, and I've heard about Dress for Success there. And in our climate, it's an amazing mechanism for change for many people. Thank you so much for sharing, and it was very interesting for me to hear about the text line. I'm busy coordinating a gender-based violence campaign, education and awareness raising in South Africa. We're running June to August, so I'd love to speak to you more about that. South Africa's a little bit behind a few of the countries here, and we're just getting up there with technology. I just wanted to ask a kind of a detail about the texting. How you talked about collaborating with organizations, so who's answering the texts and how many people are you reaching? And
so Crisis Text Line is going to do the technology, the data, and the marketing to make this thing big, but we put out an RFP and we picked other organizations to do the act. I'm the last one you want, clearly, counseling somebody out of an eating disorder. Like, I would be like, eat another marshmallow. It's like fat-free and kosher. I'm not the one who should be doing that counseling. So we're outsourcing to experts. And if you're really geeky, I can really tell you about the technology. It's pretty darn exciting. We've built it as a white label, so other people can use it. You can actually have 2 counselors on the same thing at once. It's pretty terrific. And with respect to Cape Town, we've had inquiries from 20 other countries wanting to bring this to their country, and the second half of 2014, international expansion is on the agenda. The one that made me saddest is France. The youth minister in France told us that the #1 cause of death, anybody from France? I mean, 37 countries, somebody's French, there we go. That the #1 cause of death for young people in France right now is suicide. It's more than car accidents. So we're hoping to get this up and running in the end of 2014 in other countries. French guy.
Hey, I'm Rafael. I'm actually from Tel Aviv, but I was in France before. Gimbaluli here. So first of all, thank you for these words. I'm sure you got 150 people so inspired right now, wanting to do so many things. This is why I wanted to ask you, how do you go about, do you have any learning you can give us on finding the right opportunities that are worth solving?
I think that's a really great question. And I think there's so much pressure to like find something meaningful. And that phrase, that change the world or repair the world phrase, good luck. It's big. The world is big and there's a lot of bad shit out there. And it can feel daunting and the whole, we have a responsibility. So I think what we have found works best, and instead of going from like, what do you care about, what are you passionate about, what do you want to fix, start with what makes you really, really mad. Like, what's the thing that makes you most pissed off? So just pick up a newspaper, if you're old school, or like look at Huffington Post or whatever it is that you read, and what is the thing that makes you maddest, that makes you most, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Work on that. Because that's got the fire in the belly. Start with that.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Shauna. I'm originally from Denver, Colorado, but I live in Tel Aviv now. Thanks a lot. I was wondering who your first client was for Dress for Success and what happened to that person and how you found them.
This was not a shill, but that is a good question. Thank you. So there are two first stories. One was there was a woman named Charlene Brundridge who was getting out of prison in New York. The governor had done for the first time what's called executive clemency. For the very first time in New York for a woman, it's battered woman syndrome. This is a woman who had been beaten repeatedly by her husband, shot and killed him, and was convicted of murder. And the governor gave her executive clemency after she spent 10 years in jail and said this was self-defense and let her out of jail, and she had nothing to wear. And we weren't set up yet, the Dress for Success wasn't set up yet, so I called Eileen Fisher. Eileen Fisher, a lot of your moms wear Eileen Fisher. They probably went to your wedding, your bat mitzvah, she might have been wearing Eileen Fisher. So I called Eileen Fisher, and Eileen Fisher opened up the store early for us to go there and bring Charlene there to get dressed. The other was, on the very first day we opened, we had 11 Russian immigrants come to the store on the very first day. And it was a fantastic learning on the very first day the store was open because they inspected every single seam. They wanted to make sure they were getting top quality clothes from Dress for Success. And also they were like every different shape and size. And to have 11 white women come in on the first day was fantastic. The idea of the welfare mom, anywhere, globally, in your mind she's supposed to be black and have like 6 kids from 6 different baby daddies. I never met her. What I met was the Russian Jewish immigrant. What I met was the woman who was 60 and had a job and had a whole life and then became ill and didn't have health insurance and ended up homeless. I met just women of all different shapes and sizes. The only thing they all had in common, at least in 1996, was that they all wanted a gray pinstripe pantsuit. And that's because that's what was in fashion that year. People also tend to forget that they have taste. They just don't have the money. So I learned so much, and I have so much respect. One thing that I don't do after Dress for Success, and really after the first day, is I'm not much of a complainer. You'll never hear me say, like, I'm too busy, or I don't have enough time to do something, or it's just too much. It's not too much. I'm blessed. I have a great husband. I have a job. I have health insurance. I am amazed by how the women at Dress for Success, our clients, like put their lives together, and they didn't complain. So if they weren't complaining, why are like women in Lululemon, running around town with their lattes complaining that life is too stressful? Those are the women who should come volunteer at Dress for Success as personal shoppers and get a little smack outside the head.
Hi, thanks for the speech. I'm an Israeli originally, but I come from Argentina. As part of my job, I'm really dedicated to empowering women, and I'm wondering, struggling myself as the mother of 3, how do you balance between work and home?
I mean, not well, right? I mean, do all 3 of your kids really need to have their teeth brushed every morning? 2 is fine, okay? 2 is fine. I mean, I don't sleep, I don't know about you, but like, I don't sleep a lot. I mean, sleep seems like a luxury. So I don't know, I don't sleep a whole lot. It's probably not well. I mean, how do I do the balancing? I don't know. You just do it. If anybody has any special tricks or something, like if you would share them, that would be awesome, or bottle them. But I also don't find it like that hard. I don't think it's like that much of a challenge. I mean, here I am, I'm here for 36 hours. Like, I travel a lot, and I don't know, I FaceTime with the kids. They're pretty independent, they're pretty resilient. I don't know, I think this whole balance thing is, you're not gonna be perfect at any of it, and so just forgive yourself for that. And I don't have $1 billion like Cheryl, so sometimes it's harder to lean in. Wink, wink. I won't do that on camera or on mic, but if anybody wants to have that conversation afterwards, I'm happy to do that. But I don't know, and I think just asking the question means that you're probably doing it pretty well. Asking the question probably means it, because you've got humility. But you should probably stop at 3, right? Yeah.
home of Lululemon and straight hair, so thank you for paying homage to that.
Where is that? Where is, like, San Diego? What is that?
No, way better. Vancouver.
Vancouver. Oh, okay.
I wanted to hear a little bit about your decision to take on, do something, and the risk that it potentially was to take on an organization with no money. The risk for you personally and coming off of a successful organization, how you did that, and what some of your first steps were.
I mean, it was crazy. You know, there's a consistent theme here. I'm crazy. It was a little nutty, and everybody I knew was like, "Why would you do this?" I also didn't think I was going to take another not-for-profit job. I thought maybe I'd go to the for-profit sector. But I thought that there was really something about do something. There was no youth movement. There was no like cool, fun. Everything was kind of wonky and community service. We don't use the words community service at do something. And I thought there was a real need for that. So I thought it was worth trying. It was worth doing. And the worst thing that could have happened would have been that I would have failed. And I'd wake up the next morning and I'd be the same. So I thought it was worth doing. The thing that I will caution on the going to the thing with no money, because I read your bios, your profiles. By the way, where's the bagels and box guy? Okay, that's cool. I mean, the rest of you are cool too, but he's like a Jew who beatboxes. Yeah. Oh, thanks. I'm married, but okay. Tomer is not though, but I don't know if that's gonna work. Yeah. The thing is that we take these jobs and we start these organizations thinking that we're going to like do great things on the environment or do great things for women or fill in the blank here, and then we end up spending most of our day fundraising. Like, can we be honest? So many of you. How many of you feel like if you just had a little bit more money, your for-profit or not-for-profit entity could be like this much better? I mean, come on, admit it. Yes. And this is the reality of what social change has become. It's been made smaller, and we've been made to be frustrated. Because it really is hard to do. It doesn't mean it's not worth doing, and it means that environments like this and groups like this are that much more important because you're going to need to lean on each other because you're all frustrated by that same thing. Do I have a question? But why don't you, if all three of you ask your question at the same time, I'll like bundle them.
Hello, thanks a lot for sharing. I'm Marina from St. Petersburg, Russia. So my question is about planning. You have mentioned this issue that you were told about it by your grandfather. I personally haven't got this from anyone, so I'm working really hard on that. So my question is, what kind of things do you plan and how do you do it?
Okay, great. What are the other questions? I'm going to do them all at once.
I'm Gary from Melbourne, Australia. How has being Jewish impacted why you do what you do?
Great.
Jessica from the States, first of all, thanks for being here. I'm very sorry for your loss. And can you speak to the fact that people often say philanthropy is not sexy? I had the opportunity and the privilege of covering a New Yorker making a difference, and she was doing that great work with Dress for Success through her Broadway show. People watch the segment, people like the segment, but how do we get more people at home watching more good work being done?
Great.
Hi, I'm Elisa from Venezuela, currently living in Argentina, and mine is not a question. Is it fine if you just make a comment following your advice on doing something right away, or something that really pisses me off? So, people, the US is not America. Please understand that. When you refer to the United States of America as the America, because there are many other countries in America, and we don't really like to be called, to call the US only America. So that's following your advice. So thank you for.
So when I refer to the US, I'm referring to probably the US and Canada, who we will annex soon. Okay. So let me take the other questions. With respect to my Jewish upbringing, I remember two things from Hebrew school: the phrase "sheket levakasha." And I remember those little blue boxes where we put in money for. I remember tzedakah. I mean, that was my Jewish upbringing was all about that tradition. I'm not affiliated, but on Friday nights my family has Shabbat, and we pass around a challah and pull a piece and say your favorite moment of the week. Being Jew-ish is a very big part of who I am, and not just because of the frizzy hair and talking with my hands and kugel with, I'm a white raisin girl, it's not a racist thing, I just prefer the white raisins. And and all those foods with the holidays where we do eat this or we don't eat this. But basically everything is you did bad stuff to us and we persevered anyway. And I feel like that's what it means to be a change maker. So this is absolutely a huge part of who I am. On planning, some of this is unplanned. Ask the guy with 4 kids. Some of this is unplanned. Life is unplanned. I'm very organized, but most of this stuff is unplanned. And as a CEO, the majority of my job is just putting out fires and things that are unplanned. And with response to making this stuff sexy, it's really frustrating to me that Oprah has tried multiple times to launch TV shows on social change and they have all failed. And if Oprah can't do it, it's going to be really hard for the rest of us mere mortals. It is definitely hard to make this stuff sexy, but that's not why we do it anyway. So my message to you is like, keep doing unsexy work. Thank you.